Welcome back to another episode of Tisha Unarmed. Last week I uploaded a video of me going into the hospital and I got so many well wishes and get well messages that I was actually concerned because the video that I had shown last week was actually from last year, and I thought that I had mentioned that in the video and I might not have, so I definitely apologize for that. But I want you guys to know that I am well and happy and good and well healed up from after my surgery. I wanted to go back into last year and explore some of the footage that I had taken from that time and go back and kind of really explain a lot of what was going on during that time. When I was editing that footage, I was like, oh man, like this really isn't a happy-go-lucky Tisha's going into surgery type of video. It felt really sad and depressing to me, and that was probably because I was feeling a lot of anxiety from the idea of having surgery and not knowing if I was going to heal up well, or hell, whether or not it was going to work. So a lot of the footage just felt really sad, and I wanted to go back and explain a lot of it so that you guys have a lot more information on what was going on during that time. So I'm going to split this video up into 3 or 4 different parts and create a series of it because there's a lot of footage to go through. There's a lot of stuff that I want to get through, and there's just too much to go through in one video. So this video is going to be all about the preparation and going into surgery. And the first thing that I had to do in order to prepare for going into surgery was to take a class. Now this was like an 1.5-hour long class that we had to go into the hospital to take. And I didn't get to film some of that because there were other patients in the room and I didn't feel comfortable exposing them to the YouTube and violating any of their privacy. So I didn't film that, but I'll let you know what was going on in that class. So there was a woman who had a presentation and she was going through some of the slides and she was explaining what to do before surgery. So as far as using the Hibby cleanse to clean your body, taking your medications if your doctor approves it, and coming into the hospital, what your room will look like, what the recovery room will look like, what to expect. And this is really to alleviate some of the stress that a patient might have going into surgery, but each patient also brought a caregiver, so someone that was going to be able to stay with them during the time of their recovery once they get home. Now, in a typical situation when you have a hip replacement, you stay for one night in the hospital. They might have you up walking around with a cane or crutches or a walker or something, and then you go home. So you spend your recovery time at home. You can still walk around, but you've got your limitations, such as the ones that I had previously mentioned in my video. You have to maintain those hip precautions, but you might need some help. So that's where the caregiver comes in, and this class is meant to help them understand a little bit of what to expect. Now, I felt like this class was a real waste of time for me because none of these issues pertain to me. My case was so incredibly special or different that I can't use a cane, I can't use a walker, and I didn't go home right after surgery. So I had to sit in the class because it was mandatory, but golly gee, it was a really long class and I didn't feel like I needed to be there. The next thing that I had to do is I had to go in and get x-rays. No problem, I've had x-rays before. It was a different type of x-ray where I had to sit and stand and cross my legs and do all kinds of different things so that the doctor can actually see how my hip is used today to get a better understanding of what to expect when he gets in there. So one of the other things that I had to do is I had to wash myself with a special soap, Hibby Cleanse, and wash my body everywhere once or twice. I can't even remember. It was so long ago. Once or twice a day, every day before surgery, 5 days before surgery. And then I had to use an ointment on the inside of my nose, and this is supposed to stop a staph infection or MRSA or like any type of infection. And it's supposed to go on my nose. Okay, so I had difficult with this. This was a real hard task for me to do. One, my leg was already in a position where it just did not want to lift up to my face. And I have a clip of this. I was actually trying to vlog this process While it was happening, though, I had realized, and you can actually see in the moment where I'm trying to lift up my leg and it just will not go anymore, and it slips off the edge of my other leg and hits the dresser, and now there's ointment all over the dresser. This was the moment that I had realized that my life has changed forever. Like, this is the moment where I thought to myself, if I can't do this, this is going to be the end of me. And you can actually see the tears well up in my eyes while I'm trying to vlog and I'm trying to have good spirits, or at least I thought I was trying to, but it wasn't working out for me, and I was having a difficult time to do this. And split second later, I snapped out of my pity moment, and I said, you can do this, you can figure out a different way. And that's when I used my chin and shoulder to hold the Q-tip to get the medicine in my nose. And this is when I realized that it doesn't really matter. If I'm not able to use my legs the way that I used before, I will be able to prevail. I will be able to find other ways of doing things because I'm like a freaking engineer, right? People with disabilities have the ability to look at a problem and solve it very quickly, knowing that if they don't get this done, like, then it's not going to get done. Things that are important need to be done, so we'll figure out a way of doing it. And that I snapped out of my pity moment. I realized that everything is going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. I might have to figure out new ways of doing things, and it might suck, but this is how things are going to be for a while. But I was good. I think I was knowing that I was going to be able to help myself through that was going to be immensely helpful. The next thing that I had to do, I had to go into the hospital and schedule someone to draw blood. They wanted blood tests. For one thing, just to find out what my blood type was, which I don't know. I still don't know. It's not something that I felt like I needed to know. But they wanted to take some blood tests, and guess what? They draw blood from your arms. So when I showed up, everyone was a little confused. But luckily there are people there that specialize in taking blood from your ankle or your foot. This is someone who is qualified to do this. Not everyone is actually qualified to take blood from your ankle or your foot, so they had to find that special person to come in and do that. But they had a serious hard time doing it. They had a terrible time. They poked both of my ankles, both of my feet. They were digging around. It felt awful. They could not draw any blood at all. And I actually joked with the guy. I was like, just give me a scalpel. I'll cut my leg open. We'll get some blood out that way. Just stop poking me. And he's like, no, we can't do that. And I'm like, I was joking, but thanks for your concern. So they sent me on my way. They just gave me a cookie, and they're like, listen, we can't draw your blood today. It's too difficult, and we don't want to poke you anymore. So I was like, thank God. So they went back to the doctor. They brought to him the situation. They said, okay, listen, so if we can't draw blood with her and she's just a difficult poke, how are we going to do the IV? How are we going to do the medication that needs to go in during surgery? And so they decided that they were going to do a central line. And if you don't know what a central line is, that is a tube. I thought it was a needle, but I think it's just a tube that they stick down. They have to do it through x-ray and ultrasound to make sure that it gets in where it needs to go, but a specialized doctor has to do that, and you have to go into the hospital and get that done. And so they sent me in the day before surgery. They said, okay, your surgery is tomorrow, but you need to come in and get this procedure done so you'll have a central line so when you get here. So I had to go home with a big old patch and a tube in my artery, and I'm just sitting there like this, like, oh, I hope it doesn't come out. I hope I don't pull it. I hope it doesn't snag. I'm imagining blood squirting everywhere, and I pass out because it's flying, just like in the movies, just flying everywhere. I was really concerned about that, but I survived, obviously, right? So I went home, and I was able to sleep, and and get up the next morning, take my shower, and go on to surgery. At this point, I've taken my class, I've done my x-rays, I've taken my showers with the special soap, and I've used the ointment on the inside of my nose. I took out my piercings. I've gotten the central line in, and it is patched to me so that it doesn't slip out, and I'm ready for the day of surgery. Now, the day of surgery, I found out that I had to film a video of me for a contest, and I was like, great, this needs to be done before I go in. And this is like 5 a.m. in the morning. I've got my patch with the central line in. I'm trying to wear, I'll put a clip in, but I'm trying to wear this really nice shirt. But you can clearly see that the central line in the patch, the bandage is sticking out of the shirt. And I have to make this video, and I have to send it off before I go into surgery. And it was really important that I did this. But that's why I have footage of me the day of. So I'm going into surgery. Jared drove. I'm trying not to be nervous, but it was really hard. We get in, we do all the sign-in information, and they take me back to the room where the pre-op room, and I have to put on this gown, and I can't wear any of my clothes, so like my bum is hanging out the end. It was awful. Like the whole gown thing is just awful. But if you've had surgery or been in the hospital, you know. You definitely know. But I'm laying there, and Jared is asking me to interact with my YouTubers, and I'm just pouting cutely, and no, I don't have anything to say. I don't even know what to say. My mind is just everywhere right now.
A hip replacement.
Yep.
And they got tubes all over me.
Yep.
Stuff.
And then stuff.
And stuff. What?
One of these green curl caps they put on the lines. It's got alcohol in it to keep it from getting infected.
I'm in this ugly gown, and my hair is orange, by the way, because I had dyed my hair a really cool color, and then I undyed my hair, and that's just what came out. It was awful. So I felt like I looked terrible, and I was not YouTube ready. But that was a little cute moment where I'm just like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say to anybody.
Tell your fans how you feel about them.
I like you.
Tell them what you did to your hair.
Oh.
That was around the time that the anesthesiologist came in, and she's holding a big ass needle, and I'm like, hold the front door, what's that for? And she's like, oh, well, I'm the anesthesiologist, and I'm going to stick this in your back. We're going to numb you from the waist down. And don't worry, if you wake up in the middle of surgery, you might hear things. I'll just put you back to sleep. Excuse me? First of all, you have one job, and that job is to make sure that I stay asleep. There's no way I'm getting an epidural. I don't want to go paralyzed or anything. No offense to any anesthesiologists out there that know what they're doing. I didn't want to do it. So my doctor came in and he goes, well, the other option is that we put the mask over your face and a tube down your throat. And I'm like, that's fine. I've done that before in my previous surgeries. Let's do that. And he says, okay. So another guy comes in with a syringe, and he puts it into my IV, and he goes, this is the good stuff. And I'm like, alrighty, I am ready for the good stuff. Let's go. And a couple minutes later, I get real giggly happy. I'm smiling from ear to ear, not really knowing what to expect or what's going on. And then they wheel me in. They're starting to wheel me into the surgery room, and I just remember my eyes just getting really, really dark and sleepy, and my eyes are closed, and I'm thinking in my mind, oh no, you're gonna miss it, you're gonna miss the whole mask and getting into this surgery experience. And I was like, wake up, and I couldn't wake up. My eyes were closed, I was still conscious, I could still hear, but that was around the time where they had lifted me up out of the bed, and then they were putting me onto the surgery, and I felt this poof, like I had landed onto the surgery bed, and that was it. That was the end. I don't remember anything after that, which is good. Like, awesome. I'm glad I slept through the whole thing, right? But that jolt from bed to surgery table was enough to knock me out. And the next thing I remember is waking up into the recovery room, and my eyes are still closed, and I'm a little bit conscious, and the nurse is there, and she's trying to wake me up, and I'm like, I'm awake, but my eyes are closed, just leave me alone. And the first thing I asked her was, can I move my legs? And she's like, no, honey, do not move your legs. And I was like, okay. And I laid there. And then they wheeled me into my hospital room. And so, yeah, so that was basically everything that happened up until the point where I've had my surgery. That's everything that I can remember. And the day, the first night staying into the hospital. So this video is going to be extremely long if I don't cut it off right now, but please stay tuned for next week where I go deep into my experience being in the hospital. You'll get to hear of my you'll get to hear about the fight that I had with one of my nurses, which was, you don't want to miss that. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, ring the bell so you get notified when I upload the next video, and I'll see you next week where I really go into depth on my 6 weeks into the hospital, what I did, and how I got through it. So thank you so much for all of your well wishes in the last video that I uploaded. I really appreciate everyone who commented and wants me to be healthy and well. I really do appreciate it. I hope you liked this video. I hope that it helped somebody who might be in this similar situation, who's worried about having surgery. Honestly, I waited till the very last minute, and I wish that I had gotten it sooner. Honestly, I really believe that I waited way too long to have this surgery, and I am so glad that I did have it, and I am in a good, happy place now. And any of the footage that might have been shown previously before surgery, yeah, it might be a little depressing or sad, but I do know that I'm in a better place now, and I definitely have you guys to thank for all of that. And that's it. I'm gonna cut it off. I'm done. See you next week. Bye.